Welcome back to the Built Local podcast. Today we have a special guest, Adam, on from Maid Brigade. Adam has been a Review Harvest customer for a little while now, and we wanted to have him on the podcast to shed a little light on the cleaning industry and how he's been able to have some success. So, Adam, how you doing today?
Awesome, Clay. Thanks for inviting us. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, we're happy to have you on. First question we always love to ask is, how'd you get into the cleaning business? How'd you get into Maid Brigade?
Yeah, this is a story I tell a lot, and it's not that exciting, but it kind of backwards. So didn't intend on getting into this particular type of business. My background is in mostly digital marketing and sales over the last too many years, mostly in consumer products, outdoor gear, that kind of stuff, travel industry. Very different industries, mostly global stuff. So like stuff that, sitting in my seat, I was marketing brands that were national or global, and always had this sort of entrepreneurial bent and wanted to kind of focus more on a local business. Yeah. And then a couple of years of due diligence, lots of talking with people who had purchased other types of small businesses. Wasn't that interested in a franchise either. So it's kind of like the more I got into it, the more interesting it got. And then this sort of fell in my lap. And then I just love the company and I love what they stood for. The people were amazing. I was trying, my rule of was literally working with people that I like, because over the years, you kind of tend to meet people on the other side of that spectrum.
Yeah.
And so there was a bunch of drivers there, and then found out that they were using only non-toxic, super safe materials in home. And that sort of flipped a switch in my head about how excited I was about it. And so we've sort of glommed onto that whole concept of safety in home, safety for my employees, just that language, kind of why we do what we do. And so I sort of landed about 3.5 years ago. It was July of 22. We started the business and we've kind of been blowing it up ever since. So all those skills that I learned along the way, or all the mistakes I've done along the way, try not to repeat in my own business.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I love about Maid Brigade, for somebody listening that doesn't know what Maid Brigade is and what they stand for, is we've talked to a decent amount of people from Maid Brigade now, and I can't tell you how many people it's like, yep, we've been with them for a decade. We've been with them for two decades. And not even just the franchisees or the owners. It's like the employees as well that have been with them for years. So what does Maid Brigade do to kind of foster that sense of community to keep people for a long time?
That's a great question. I think other franchisees that have been in the system for a really long time have sort of cracked the code of just being a different type of service company. And I think it comes back, literally our logo is a heart. And so they're just big hearted people. Like it flows all the way through. And I'm blown away. Part of being a part of a franchise, one of the nice things is you can pick up the phone and call people and say, like, I'm about to mess up. Don't let me do that. What should I do? And in this particular group, there are people in it, and I've only been doing it for 3 years, and most of the folks that are on the other end of the line are, like you said, 20 plus years. But it's such a nice thing to be able to reach out to them and say, hey, the kindness that I think runs through the organization is palpable. When you think about service industry, the relative safety of this whole industry is probably really low, from what you do to the people's homes or the people that you interact with. And so it's very important, I think, system wide, and it's sort of unsaid, but it's really done, is that we like to work with people that appreciate and are grateful for both having the job and for receiving the service. And if that's ever out of whack, then it's not, and the type of person that sort of manages 1,000 people in their home and they're just all kind of there to serve them. That's not the customer we want. We want the customer that's like, look, I can't do this myself for whatever reason, and I'm super appreciative of it. And then we're super appreciative of the business. And so like that relationship is something that's really nice to have. I think that's the secret sauce of Maid Brigade, is that we treat this as a mutual respect society across the board.
That's awesome to hear. And you talked about your experience in digital marketing and sales, and kind of more on a national or even a global level. How much of that is transferred over to having, a local cleaning company versus, does none of it transfer over? Or are you relearning a whole bunch of things, or how's it work?
I think it reminds me, my whole MO as a lead marketing guy in an organization was, especially in small growing businesses, which was my specialty, was to learn it myself, then hire people smarter than I was so that I could manage them. So I couldn't manage somebody that I didn't know what they did or how they did it. And not from a micromanaging perspective, just so I could ask the right questions. And so that sort of applies in reverse now. And so because we're so small, I had to go back to doing everything myself. And so relearning Google PPC myself, just local marketing that I was, having an agency work on. And so as we've grown, I've been able to do the same thing. So that skill set of kind of teaching myself, then farming it out to people that know how to do it much better. That's been super helpful. The other thing is what I love from a marketing perspective is cause and effect in local marketing is much, much quicker than cause and effect in global marketing, right? So if we're looking for a 0.5 percentage point on shelf in Whole Foods, that takes a while, and the Nielsen data comes back, and you're either up or you're down, but that can take 6, 8, 12 months. And there are things in digital marketing that take a while, but local marketing tends to be a little bit more, at least fulfilling to me, because the cause and effect cycles are a little kind of more compact. And then realistic expectations, like there's no single bullet that's going to, from a marketing perspective, that's going to do it. It has to be a basket of things. Just figuring out at what level we invest in all those things is really the magic recipe. And I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's crazy because probably when people ask me the hardest transition we made at Review Harvest, it was when we focused locally originally. So I started working with businesses in our area and I ran local ads, and I thought that's just how it was. Like I thought I started to expect $10, $15 leads, people to hop on the call. We know friends of friends. We go to the same church, we just have lots of commonalities, and the trust is just there instantly. And then we made that transition. Like, all right, we're going to run ads all across the country. It was like, whoa, it's like leads are more expensive. People don't trust us as much. It's just a whole nother ball game. Yeah, that is such a great thing about local business, but a challenge when you're trying to scale it nationally. Real quick, if you're a local business owner and you want to start getting customers from Google, you know how important Google reviews are. Every week, I talk to business owners just like you across hundreds of industries who know reviews matter, but never seem to have the time or the system in place to actually get them. That's exactly why I've spent the last 2 years building Review Harvest. We built it with a non-tech savvy business owner in mind, so anybody can set it up in minutes and start getting reviews today. It automates the process of getting real reviews from your customers, responding to those reviews, and repurposing them across your website and across your social media platforms. It's a set it and forget it software. You can get it all set up in about 10 minutes and you never have to worry about reviews again. We can integrate into the tools you're already using, so you don't have to change a thing. You don't have to train your team on how to request reviews. You don't have to request them manually. You get customers, we get your reviews. It's simple as that. And the first play in our playbook is what we call a review reactivation. You probably have hundreds or thousands of previous customers who loved your service but never left your review. So a lot of times our users can double or even triple their reviews just in the first couple months of working with us when we do that review reactivation. When it comes to, you've been doing it since 2022, what's been the hardest part about growing Maid Brigade in your area?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of things that make it not easy. The classic entrepreneur is, if I knew then what I knew now, I wouldn't be sitting here. Yeah. And that's probably true. When I was just the other day thinking about all the things that I messed up early on. And that's with the benefit of having a franchise that knows a little bit more than just somebody coming at it green. I think some of the things that were hardest to do were finding really good employees to begin with, to sort of, again, coming back to that trust thing. I was literally working out of my garage. And so it's like, you could come over to the house for an interview, or we can meet at a coffee shop. And then right there, you got oh man, that's hard to overcome when you've got Molly Mate down the street or whatever, doing whatever it is they do, but at least they have an office. So just this startup kind of getting across the line, buying that first car, outfitting that first team. And then certainly for me, because I have an ego, getting this out of the way was difficult. Cleaning people's houses. I was going in and cleaning people's houses with my crew. And that was hard. There's no way of getting around that. That was definitely hard. And I still do it every once in a while. And I think my crew appreciates the fact that I'm not afraid to get up, out of the office and go clean a home. So that's definitely hard. I don't know if my back will allow me to clean many more houses at this rate. I'm getting it to that point. And that just reminds me why my customers need our service that much more, because people like me cannot clean a bathtub anymore. It's getting more and more physically difficult.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that goes back to what you're talking about with marketing. It's you want to learn it so that you can help manage those people. It's hard to help manage them or help them grow or get better if you've never done it before. And so doing the same thing with the actual service is awesome. And so when you talked about kind of platforms changing and start learning PPC again, or learning ads again, or learning, local digital marketing, how are you able to learn those skills or relearn those skills again? Was it through franchise training? Was it through YouTube? How are you able to learn that after being in business for, you've been, working for, I assume, a long time now, and it's so hard for people who are older, but maybe been in the game longer to go back to the drawing board and learn something new. Like you can't teach an old dog new tricks or whatever. So how are you able to overcome that and learn the new skills required?
I think I'm just super obstinate, and it's like once I literally was a consultant for small companies in Google Ads 20 years ago, and so I have this sort of ignorant belief that, well, I learned it once, I can learn it again. My brain isn't as plastic as it was. The platform is 100 times more complicated, and it just through pure, I don't know, obstinance, just keep burning through it. I certainly ask a lot of questions for salespeople when they come through, learn that way, a lot of YouTube, a lot of what other people are doing. There's other folks in the system that are pretty proficient at it. And just recently I found an outsourced agency, and I actually asked him to help me just do one-on-ones. So he's kind of doing one-on-ones with me weekly, and that's kind of raised my game to a whole different level. And that's been super helpful, and he'll get my business as well. And he knows it. So,
Yeah.
and it's just nice to be able to go into the tool and see exactly what's happening and make adjustments if I have to without, him killing me, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's one thing y'all do at Maid Brigade to keep your customers happy and keep them, keep them around a while?
It's the little things with us. We just make sure that, generally speaking, if you've got an hour and a half or an hour and a home to clean it, and for whatever reason our team finishes 10 minutes early, they just look for one more thing to do. So maybe it's the kids' room, the toys are kind of askew, so they set up the stuffed animals in a funny looking, or, it's just the little things like that, brings a smile to somebody's face that ordinarily wouldn't have done that. We do other things like we have a huge chocolate bill here at Maid Brigade. So if I just looked at my Costco chocolate bill, so we leave a couple of pieces of chocolate for every cleaning with a handwritten note. And if they, and most of our customers have pets, so sometimes they get a milk bone too. And so it's just stuff like that. And it's just, and the other thing is, we see an electrical outlet that looks like it's got a burned out plug or something like that. We'll take a picture and send it to the owner and say, hey, this looks a little dangerous. So it's just those little things. It's like, we're taking care of them and their house. So we think about it, well, how do we best take care of them and just make sure, within their own home that they feel safe and we feel safe. So, that's sort of our guiding principle. And the chocolate thing is just because I'm a chocoholic, and I think that's terrific. And then there's always chocolate in the office. And so it's a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. And then on the other side of that, we've already kind of touched on the culture at Maid Brigade, but on the other side of that, how do you keep your employees and the people working with you at Maid Brigade happy and wanting to show up to work every day?
Yeah, it's that coming back to that safety thing. We want them to feel safe. And so the way we prove that is if ever we have a difficult customer, the first round is I talk to the customer and say, for whatever reason, hey, this was an unpleasant X, Y, and Z for you or them. And if the customer persists and is, just for whatever reason, quote unquote, difficult, and my staff perceives them as difficult and we switch to team out and they're still difficult, we'll fire the customer. And I think that my staff really appreciates the fact that I've got their back. And so that whole kind of point of view is, look, I've got your back. If there's anything that we can help to make your life easier, because this is one of the hardest jobs there is on the planet, period. There are very few that are this difficult. Imagine cleaning 5 homes in a day. I mean, just imagine that. And the personalities you run into and the animals that are friendly or not friendly, or the variables are immense. And in that environment, I just want people to feel like and know that we're protecting them as absolutely the best we can. So the cars we drive are safe. The materials that we use are safe. The customers that we have are grateful. So all of these things kind of amount to, so any one of those things go out of whack. Hey, I'm in a car I don't feel safe in. You're not going to come back to work. Hey, the person I work with, I don't feel safe working with. That person is not welcome in our. So it just comes back to, are we following that kind of prime directive of, is this place safe? Do you feel safe? There's enough things in this world, especially, and I won't get into politics, but especially in my group of folks, they're not feeling very safe right now. And so this is one place they can feel that. And I feel super strongly about that.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to the reason I'm doing this is probably because I didn't feel safe in my, previous careers.
Yeah.
I was one board meeting away as a marketing person from losing a job because the board member didn't like that his investment of $10 million didn't return, $30 million in, 12 months. And so I always felt like, my job was at risk unless the marketing person returned $4 for every dollar invested by the investors. Yeah. And so that sort of is in my DNA now. I do not ever want to feel that. I don't ever want to foster an environment where people feel like they could lose their job at any minute, or they feel unsafe and they don't want this job. And again, it's hard enough. So I don't know if that made sense, but it's super me.
No, 100%. No, I think that cleaning our house on Sunday is exhausting. Doing one house, a house that you should feel safe in, your own house, is exhausting enough. So going into 5 every single day and doing that, it makes sense to foster a community and foster all these variables around them to make it as comfortable and as safe as possible. But if anybody takes, a couple minutes to read through your reviews, you can see that your customers are pretty happy and they love Maid Brigade. And so before y'all started using Review Harvest, how are y'all getting those reviews from customers?
So it was relatively non-pressured. So
Yeah.
we weren't asking for reviews in really any way, but
Mm,
we were receiving them. And so it really came about when, the follow-up phone call, how the clean go. And then in that conversation, I'm like, well, if you don't mind, mention the folks that were in your home. It was Anastasia and Crystal were in your home today. Mention them in the review because I loved seeing their names online. If you feel comfortable doing that, do it. And, most people would be like, yeah, no, I'd love to do it. And then more or less they would do it or not.
yeah.
We didn't really press it because we kept getting, maybe 1-2 reviews a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. So it wasn't anything that we were really pushing on, but in that basket of things that we need to run a proper marketing campaign, reviews were really important to us to really up our game against the competitive set.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's only been about a month or 2 months now working with Review Harvest. What's the experience been like so far getting those more reviews coming in?
Oh, absolute rocket ship. So it like for the first month, you'd probably know these numbers better than me. I think it was 40 or so
Yeah.
reviews on a baseline of just over 100. I don't remember the exact number. And then from there, it's just the tool's super easy to use. It's helped behaviors in the business actually work a little better. So now we're beholden to making sure that that phone call occurs, within
Yeah.
a certain amount of time. And then working with the tool has been super easy. And I don't say this lightly because one more tool, one more sign in, one more anything for a small business is such a major issue. But this one, I look forward to it.
Awesome. We love it. And we try to be as hands-on as possible to make sure everything's set up properly so that you can be as hands-off as possible, in the future. And so it's, all kind of happening in the background and you can just run your business. And so we always like to kind of close out the interview. Like I said, most people listening to this are home service business owners trying to grow their business. And as somebody that's been doing it for years and you've had success in other fields as well, what would you say to somebody right now who's maybe starting their own cleaning company or, has a pressure washing company or whatever, and they're struggling to either get customers or keep good employees? What's kind of some piece of advice you would have for them to keep going and to grow their business?
Oh man, run. No, I think that, I think about it in terms of like, who's your competitors? And just in my mind, every day, I feel like I can outthink and outwork anyone in this industry. Maybe not outthink. I'll take that one back. Uh, but definitely outwork.
Yeah.
And if you have that mindset, like, today I know that I can kick ass, like, and how do I do that? And just having that energy level every day. And I think if there's anything less than that, then you won't be successful. But if you have the mindset of, I can out hustle it, that's kind of the mindset you need. And then the learnings come with that. Like you can become more quote unquote intelligent in whatever it is you're working on by having that mindset of, I just need to do this. Like I know I can win at this. And, every day is a win. And I have a background in sales. So, getting a couple of no's is good because you got them out of the way for the day. And now you got to work on the yeses.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
that sort of mindset that's helped or hindered, I don't know. But, and having a sense of humor, like if you can't laugh at this stuff, what can you?
Yeah. Hey, real quick, before we get back to the video, if you're a local business owner and you're serious about getting more customers from Google, I want to invite you to our free school community linked down below. Inside, you'll get weekly coaching calls where I can personally help you one-on-one so you're never stuck wondering what to do next to get more customers. Once you join, we'll give you a custom-built ranking report to show you exactly how you're ranking against your competitors, and then we'll even show you the next couple things you can do to start ranking higher. We do all of these reports manually to make sure they're done right. You'll get our 50,000 Google review script, the same script we've used to help hundreds of businesses get over 50,000 reviews, showing you what to say, when to request the review, how to follow up, and get that review without being annoying or awkward. And you'll even get a step-by-step checklist on how to optimize your Google Business profile to make sure you're ranking at the top of Google. Sometimes just making a few tweaks on that Google Business profile can be the difference between never showing up on Google and dominating your area. All in all, you'll get access to a community of business owners and experts trying to grow their business just like you. It's a safe space to ask questions and get more tailored one-on-one advice. It's 100% free. I don't have a coaching program or a course to sell you. Just click the link down below, join the community,
We'd love to see you inside.
Well, and it goes back to the local side of things. It's like when you're competing in a local market, you don't have to be the best in the world. You've got to be the best out of the 10 or 40 or 50 businesses in your area, right?
Yeah.
And in almost every area, unless you're like in a town with 100 people, in almost every area, if you're one of the top 3 or 4 businesses, you're going to make a good living. You're going to have a great business. And so you don't have to beat everybody in the world. You just got to beat the 20 or 30 people around you. And so having that hustle, having that ability to show up every day can make you seem so much more intelligent, just because all intelligence is just like rate of learning, right? It's like, you
Good point.
learn something at work and then you change your behavior and now you're intelligent. And so if you're showing up every day, you can have those feedback cycles so much quicker than somebody
Yep.
that's like, today I'm gonna half-ass it. Today I'm not gonna really put all the work in. So no, it's great stuff, Adam. Well, we appreciate you hopping on, taking the time out of your day to spread some knowledge with people in this space that are trying to grow their business. So thanks for hopping on, Adam, and we'll see you later.
Appreciate it, Clay. Thank you very much.